Okay, so we've gone live on, the, and just as usual, I'm gonna stop saying it because I think I'm sounding like a broken record. Like every time I go, oh, Instagram is not, and then it happens. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful Thursday where we are gonna do our reflections. I am your host, Dr. Clara Isomeme. This is our book club where we are intentionally reading and growing and just trying to make sure 2026 goes the way we plan it to go. And part of how you grow and part of how you achieve the goals you set is you transforming yourself. And one way to transform yourself is through the books you read and people you associate with. So we've been hanging out with Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. These have been our friends in the last 3 weeks. We've been reading this book, 10x is easier than 2x. And alongside, I have two amazing people who are very committed in supporting me with this vision of reading this book this month. One of them, he is actually in the gym. Like he's like killing, two birds with one stone. That's obviously, that's Yajat.
Yes.
In the gym. He's exercising right now, but he's committed to making this happen. And of course, I have Alicia who just makes it happen for me. So, Alicia, do you mind introducing yourself to everybody?
Hello, my name is Alicia M. Powell, and I am the founder of the Amalgam Group, working as a bridge between the Gulf region, Africa, and the West through business, strategy, sport, culture, and capital. And happy to be here for our third session.
And Yajat, who is cycling. Do you mind
Yes.
introducing yourself?
So I'm a student triathlete, and I'm now going to start uni in August of this year, and I am currently exercising in the gym, and yeah, I'm looking forward to today's meeting.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to start in. Oh, I didn't know you. So you've been accepted to college.
Yes, yes, Canadian University, Dubai.
You did mention it. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank
Congratulations.
you.
Yes. Okay.
Congrats.
Yeah. And I think it's just amazing that you're doing this before you go to college. It would give you a head start. And just to give a shout out to the people online. So Gracie, I see you. Nitsi Achilles, I see you. Sneha, my beloved Sneha, I see you. I don't know if you're still there, but I see you. That's my sweetie, Sneha. We started this together. So I see you. And I think there are other people. I see people on Instagram, but I cannot see people on the other platforms. But if you're there, I just want to say thank you for showing up. And if you leave a message, those messages that pop up on my screen so I can see those messages. And so we are going to just go, like, we're just going to dive in and just talk about the book and what we learned. So because we read chapter 3 and 4, we split the book into 4 parts, but the book is split in two. So we read the part of, you're still talking about, they're still explaining why 2x is better than 10x is better than 2x. Hey, Iwana, I see you. They were still trying to explain why 10x is better than 2x. And then we went on further in chapter 4, where they described how you can actually 10x. And that's the part I really like, because I think we've kind of flogged the whole, like, we know now, okay, 10x is better than 2x. We get that. So what do you think, guys?
I thought it was good to have practical insight. Like you said, okay, now we understand why it's important, why it's needed, but to say, okay, this is how we do it, and this is how we can apply it to real world situations and where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like it's definitely nice because there's like theory, and a lot of books like have just conversations about the theory, but this also talks about how you can implement it and generally see the benefits.
Exactly. So I would go over my we have like reflection, we have questions that we can use to reflect here, but I'm just going to go over my reflections, and then we all would go over ours, whatever your thoughts are. And then if there's still time, because we Rajat Yajath is in the gym, so he has to be done at a certain time. So we would then we would if there's more time, then we would dig in a little bit more. So what I liked about the how to 10x, he started from the way he started that part on how to do it was so subtle. It was subtle because he was talking about the gap and the gain. He has a book called The Gap and the Gain, just for someone who's interested, because there's this idea that if you set this 10x goals, then you have to hit that goal. And when you don't hit the 10x goal, then you feel like you're failing. And most people who want to 10x, they are overachievers in the first place. And then you begin to, so when you set this great, this lofty and grand goals and you don't achieve it, then you begin to feel like you're failing. Oh, my cousin is online, Susie. Susie, so great to see you. She joining from Nigeria. Oh, I don't know where Susie is. She may not be in Nigeria. She joined from somewhere. Anywho, so there's this feeling you would have that you're failing when you don't achieve those goals, because I wake up every day. I have this long list of things I need to do. And then I just keep checking. And then sometimes it's like 8 o'clock. I'm like, I haven't done this. And I struggle. And then I fall asleep while I'm still trying to check my list. And I wake up the next morning. I'm like, dang, I didn't achieve all of these goals. However, if you think about the gap and the gain, just the way he explained it in this book, is that it's not about the things you achieved, it's who you are becoming in the process of you 10xing. So your 10x is not necessarily the things, it is part what you achieve is part of it, but much more is who you become in the process. And another time I was talking to somebody and we're talking about imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome comes in, it's also like a symptom of the gap and the gain, where you're like, oh, I should be this badass person. I should be able to do this, do that, speak like this, have all of this knowledge. And you're looking at the goal you've set, that's like 100%. You feel like you have to achieve everything 100%, but you are at 90%. You're not looking at the things you've achieved, you're looking at the things you do not have. And then that continues to make you feel inadequate. Meanwhile, what you already have something so good going for you. So he talked about that. It's more like counting your blessings, because I'm Christian, so I would see it in that light. It's more like counting your blessings. You look back and say, you know what? I had 20 things I needed to do today, but however, I did 10, or I did one, or you know what, I couldn't even do one, but I rested because I needed to rest, or I talked to my sisters, or I talked to my mom, I talked to my dad, I took care of something else that was not part of what was on my list. He's still looking at all of those. And then he talked about it in terms of when you fail, so you could go through stuff that's really painful, that's really sad, and then rather than look at it as, oh, this bad thing happened to me, but there could be one lesson you will learn from it and say, you know what, I went through this and I became this person, I learned this. So it's not really you failing, it's you learning from a circumstance. And that's one part that I really liked about this book, just how he described the gap and the gain. There were other things he talked about, but that was like the strongest for me.
I think that's good, and also goes back to something from the earlier chapter where he talked about the importance of setting these high goals, because of that, the saying, if you shoot for the moon, even if you fail, you'll still at least get to the stars.
Yeah.
So I mean, that also goes into it of like, by having these big audacious goals, even if they are not, you shouldn't feel bad if they don't happen, because you
Right.
still are so much higher than you would have been if you just had these smaller goals. So
That's
I think that's really important. For me, one of the insights was a really big one about your current success blocking your future success, and what got you here may not be what you need if you're 10xing. And I think sometimes we get caught up in our degrees or our accomplishments or our other successes, and then it's really what's stopping us from 10xing and from going further, because we're relying on those past skills or those past relationships. So part of this growth is leaving behind what already works and not relying on it. And they talk a lot about the comfort zone that we have, and like the fact that 10x is really getting rid of the comfort zone. But it's so comfortable to say, okay, this got me this far. This is working. Let me
Yeah.
keep doing it. But what they're saying here is, no, part of 10x growth is to say, no, we're going to just turn it over, turn it on its head and start over again. And they give some examples of that. Like earlier in the book when they talked about the estate, the agent, the insurance, the person who was doing it, I think he was a financial advisor, and how he
Yes.
like left and had to start over.
Yeah.
But because he applied that 10x thinking, he was able to go and do so much better than he had before. So sometimes part of it is really just saying, okay, it doesn't matter what I have now or how far I've gotten. If I want a 10x, I might have to just start over.
Yes, I agree. For those who are online, if you have any ideas, you have any contribution, please put it there. So we can flesh out your thoughts or just learn from whatever ideas you put out there. You know what, Alicia, I agree with you. And yeah, just do not listen to what I'm about to say because you're about to go to college and you should go to college. However, I think one of the I think if I maybe chicken and egg, I don't know. I went through I've had a lot of formal education for which I am very thankful. Like I went through medical school, I'm a medical doctor. I went and got a master's, I have a PhD, so I'm a double doctor. However, I think education sometimes puts you in a box. Sometimes it's the worst thing that could ever have formal education, not like you learning. You should always learning, we're reading. However, sometimes when you have all of this, when you have this profession, it puts you in a box. And if you have other skills and other talents, you never really have that opportunity for you to express them, except you purposefully break out of that box. And it's a painful box to break because it took you so many years to build that box. So it feels like, oh, I built this box and then now I'm breaking this box. However, the good thing is the person who breaks out of that box was not the person who got in. And maybe if you didn't get all of those education to get into that box, you would never become that person who could evolve. So sometimes it's just because there's someone I admire, like Trevor Noah. He really did not go to college, but he's one of the smartest and the most intellectual people that I know. He can analyze complex issues like someone who has a PhD and who's been teaching and doing research for years. So sometimes some people can do that, but not everyone can. So it's just to be very conscious of what box am I in? What box did I create? And is it time for me to break out of this box? And when I break out of this box, what experiences am I taking with me? You know? So yeah, Jeff, over to you.
Honestly, I think that's like very true. I know I'm like going to college, but honestly, like even during the time before, I immediately started thinking of how I can break out of that constant loop of just going and then, okay, study and then work in a corporate job and then set like the same routine, come back home, do the same thing. And it's just like the same life for like ever. So that's why started thinking immediately about entrepreneurship, started reading books, and I do believe also that formal education, like if it's aligned with your passion, like for example, being a doctor, and like
Yeah,
then sure, like that's really awesome. Like great, it's helping you. For me,
yeah,
I realized like the majors and stuff. The only thing that really aligns with my interest would be like sports science. It's not
yeah,
necessarily that I cannot do other majors. I don't have like bad grades, but it's just that like sports science as a degree, it's not really so beneficial. So it's again something more about your efforts, how you reach out to people, start your own coaching. So that's what I'm like working on now. And definitely I will get a degree just because I'm interested also in computer science, but not something as a job that I want to do.
yeah. So yeah, Jack, do you want to share an experience with us? Because I know you and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and that was just after you had this idea and how one single experience, you had an idea for what you wanted to do in college and how like a single experience changed that. And before you answer, I just want to someone dropped a comment here. She said a lot of successful people did not go to college. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, just to name a few. You're right. Yeah, so if you don't mind sharing your experience so people can just hear that.
Like my experience with education, or what do you mean?
Yes, you know how you were gonna go study a particular, you had this idea you were gonna go study a particular course in college, and then something you had an experience, and then you're like, no, this is what I want to go do now.
Yeah, so I would say that initially I wanted to do quantitative finance, and the major motivation was just because of the money and also because I'm good at math. So I just thought, you know what, I'll do it. I'll hate the job, I'll like suffer, and then go back home and then like work out and like do something that I like, which is like triathlon. And that's what a lot of people do. Like they have full time jobs and they go home and then they do triathlons and stuff. But I realized like I shouldn't do that because I shouldn't like be living a life where I'm again just doing the same thing where I hate every moment of the job.
Yeah,
So that's why now I've realized, even after reading this 10x book, that he like, like in the book it says like about setting a 10x goal, and then you realize all the things that are restricting you. And I felt that is one thing because I realized that I'm genuinely really passionate about triathlons and want to even go pro, possibly coach others. So doing that would definitely get in the way because as a pro you have to like train a lot throughout the day. You don't have so much time for a full-time job.
yeah. So that definitely is 10xing. That's kind of like that's what the author would describe as you like chiseling out everything that was not David. So everything that would not make you a triathlete, you're just taking it out. I want to shout out to
Yes.
Linda. I want to shout out to PJ and just say I see you guys, and just drop your thoughts, drop your questions. So we still have time for one more question before yeah, just, are you just gonna keep cycling while we talk? Is that what's gonna happen?
Yes.
Okay. So
And
question,
I'll it's like anyways it's just like 1 hour, so yeah, why not the full thing?
yeah, okay, we'll do it. We'll do this one. You such a sport. Okay, so well, you're such a sport. You should So, what is one thing you know you should stop doing but haven't? So, this question is for everyone who's online. Just think through it. If you're comfortable sharing, just drop it there so we can learn. So, maybe I can look at one thing you want to stop, and then I can say, all right, I'm going to stop that too. Um, I think one thing I you know what I've been thinking about this really hard, and I'm thinking one thing I should stop doing. I know I don't have an assistant right now, but I don't. I said it in a previous reflection, but I broke out all the things an assistant would do for me, and then I have people do it for me. But then there's still that difference where you have an assistant, they can be there for you and get stuff done for you. So some of the stuff that I do, I need to stop doing it. It's just taking me a while to find a good fit. So that's some of the like, I'm called making calls that are not really moving the needle. That the time I spend making those calls, I'm scheduling and doing all whatnot. That's not really 10x. That's like, that's not my 20%. That's like the 80%. So that's something
Yes.
I am working on. And then PJ said like tweaking her landing page, constantly making ideas without taking action. That definitely is an 80% task. So yes, you are in that's you don't have to tweak your landing page except you design websites and also having these great ideas. And the thing about great ideas is they sound great until you try it out, and then you have to test it to know if it's great, and then you tweak it based on people's response to you much more than you're just sitting down trying to make it great just by yourself. Thank you for sharing that, PJ. I think Alicia was going to say something.
Well, I think for me, it's very similar. I think the idea of delegating, right? Like of saying what is the 20, what is the 80, and making sure that the part that needs to be done by someone else is done by someone else, as opposed to trying to do everything. And then you're just not, then you end up having a lot of motion, but losing momentum.
Yeah,
And then you feel like you're being productive, and it's just not the case. So I think it's really important to learn how to delegate, whether in any position, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether a founder, business owner, or in a corporate job. Delegating is so important.
That's true.
Personally, I feel like also I haven't reached that stage where I'm delegating work, but because I mean, I haven't started college yet. But but the thing is, I do have like as I do like making content, but I do notice that a lot of the time is taken up by editing. So if I get to a stage where I can hire an editor, that would be really nice. It will help me put out more content and do what I enjoy more. So I think that is also part of it, that you just keep cutting out things that you are not interested in and just fully focus on what gives you energy.
Yes. So yeah, just something you could consider is maybe you can go get someone to really coach, get like a client, and whatever money you're making from that, you could spend that getting making your content.
Yes, yes, that's true. Yeah.
Find one this week and let us know how that goes by next week.
Yeah. That's a good target. Yeah, honestly, yes.
And you can put it on Instagram and say, I've done this, I can help you do that. Put it there.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yes.
Let's
Yes,
see
I should. Yes,
if you're gonna
definitely.
10x, if you're gonna 10x in real time, we're gonna watch you just 10x in our very eyes like this. We'll be like, whoops.
Live demonstration.
Yes, yes, yes. And the woman said, she says, sometimes you just have to stick to one of the many ideas that you have and pivot a little bit over time. Oh, that's just pure wisdom. And one done idea is better than 10 half ideas. I missed the word. She said half-assed ideas. So, I agree. Sometimes just take one and run with that, and then you keep adding, or maybe you could even stop completely. Depends on how people respond to that idea. Any other thoughts, any other ideas before we wrap it up?
I think that's all.
You think that's all? I have more questions. I'm just letting you go because I don't want to. I don't want to drag it. And we have next week. Oh man, do you know next week is gonna be the last? That's our last week.
Yeah, that's sad.
I know, I know, I know. I kind of started reading like chapter five a little bit because I feel like that's where I think chapter five and six is where like the meat of the whole how you can actually how we can actually start to transform. And with that, I'm going to actually because there are lots of prompts in this book for those who are reading. There are lots of prompts and there's lots of reflective points in prompts that you can look through and then just write, and it would actually help you because the goal of reading is not just to read for the sake of reading, is that you read, you become wiser, and then you take wiser actions. The ultimate goal is to take actions that would move your life in the direction that you want to move to. Any other words? Yeah, just you said there was nothing, Alicia.
I do think I would say that one thing is that the questions are really like good because they like when I was reading it, it was like okay, you're reading, and then the questions like hit you hard, and then you like start focusing more as well, and you start
Correct.
really reflecting.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, I think and it's great that they reference the other books because then it makes you want to read the other books and apply those as well. So it's very helpful.
Yeah, maybe that's a marketing plan.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, they slip in the coaching as well. So
Yeah,
it's
just
very
the
good marketing.
responsible. Yeah, just and then you're there trying to Google Dan Sullivan, but nothing wrong with that. If you have good product out there, I think it's you doing the world a disservice if you do not market. If you have a good product, you don't put it out there, you're doing the world a disservice. People need
Yeah.
to know how you can help them. Um, PJ, you say you've been reading the science of scaling. What's that like? Is it? I think that was the first book he wrote, or I know he is that the first book he wrote. I don't have that. I have most of his books, but I don't have the science of scaling. Or if that, I don't even know if that's his book. I'm assuming it's his because he put it out there. Well,
Is Who
this
Not How like the sequel, or is it before 10x?
I think it came before because he referenced it in this book. So I think it's
Yes.
yeah, just so the science of scaling is also written by Benjamin Hardy. So, and she's not sure which came before, but it's still one of his books. But for his books, if you read like each one has its own character, but they're all related, but each one has its own unique character. Yeah, I would he's one author I would recommend. An interesting fact is that we were in South Carolina at the same time. He went to Clemson University. I went to University of South Carolina. He was doing his PhD. I was doing my PhD. But he came out with how many books? I went to go get my residency done. I didn't write any book, but that's gonna change this year.
Oh,
Anywho,
okay. So you're planning to make a book.
I should.
Nice.
It's overdue. I should. I should. I have to. I have to. I have to write one. It's overdue. It was in the plans for last year. I didn't 10x as much, but I am in the
Oh,
game, in the gap.
yes.
So,
Is it like gonna be about negotiation or what is it?
so the book so everything I do is about negotiation. However, it's not necessarily negotiating salary or negotiating, like, it would be there, but it would be about negotiating for the life that you want. And the book is about the best way to have an impact in life. It's the title. I may change it, but the title I have in my head is Entry Point of Greatness. So if you want to be great, you want to have impact, how do you actually do that? It's creating a blueprint that you can say, all right. And it's not just my story, because I don't think I'm as great as I want to be at this point, but I know I'm going to be great. I'm on that journey. But it's looking at different people and say, okay, what was it about this person that made them scale? What was it about that other person that made them scale? And then we're going to look at it through some of the through the lens of some of the theories that I have studied before. So it will be backed by science and research and all of that good stuff.
Oh, okay. Is that like based on what you learned as a doctor, or is it a different degree?
It was more from my PhD I did all those theories and stuff. It was more from my PhD.
Okay.
Yes. All right, people. We would call it a night, and I am looking forward to another reflective session next Thursday, which will be the last one. And then I think I have two other people who are going to join me next month. One is from the US, one she is from Austria originally, but you're from Austria, right? I hope I'm not calling the wrong country, but I think she's from Austria, and then she lives here in Dubai. So I would have one person in the US and one person from here join me next month. So I'm really excited. And Udo Udakis, I saw you. Anyways, thank you so much. And I see. I'm just holding
Thank
on.
you.
I don't want to let you guys go. I keep saying all right, bye, all right, bye, and I'm still here. All right, let me end the stream.
Bye.
Bye. Come on now, end streams.